Hello, everyone. I am going to be your host today. Can everyone hear me? This is Gloria Sadler. Can you hear me?
And
Absolutely. Yes.
yep.
Okay, perfect. Let me just kind of adjust my volume a little bit because I can barely hear you guys. All right, so we are going to call to order and have a roll call of the Joint Transportation Planning Group for the South East Regional Planning. Sorry, I have a note here. An Economic Development District. I can never recall what those acronyms are for. We can have roll call, please.
Acushnet, or Harvard,
Well, you know, it's really like feeding back
can
going on.
are people like
Microphone.
If everyone could just mute until your name is called, that may help. Thank you so much, everyone.
thanks, Lori. Maybe I should just start from the top.
Yeah, we'll start over.
Attleboro,
Mike Tyler here.
thank you. Berkeley, Carver, Dartmouth,
Tim Barber here.
Dayton,
Present, Ralph Pataco.
Fairhaven, Fall River,
Dan
Freetown,
Aguiar here.
thank you. Freetown,
Here,
Lakeville,
Plainville
Mansfield,
here.
Mansfield,
Here.
thank you. Marion,
Here.
Mattapoisett,
here,
Middleborough,
Here.
New Bedford,
Here.
North Attleboro, Norton,
Here.
Plainville, Raynham,
Plainville here.
oh, thank you. Raynham, Rehoboth, Rochester, Seekonk,
Here.
Somerset, Swansea, Taunton, Wareham, Westport,
Here.
thank you. And at-large commissioner, are there any at-large commissioners present? Yes, Gloria,
Boroughs here.
Alan New Bedford. At large.
And Ashley, New Bedford.
Ashley, New Bedford, and Chris.
Yep.
Thank you. All set, Gloria.
Thank you so much.
John Woods from Carver's here. Sorry, joining late.
Thank you for joining us, John.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, so we are going to look to approve the minutes from April 9th, 2005. The material was attached. Andrea will read the roll call.
Attleboro,
Attleboro abstains.
Carver,
Yes.
Dartmouth,
Yes.
Yes.
Fairhaven, sorry, Fall River. Fall River,
Yeah, I couldn't get to my mute. Yes.
thank you. Freetown,
yes,
Lakeville, Lakeville, Mansfield,
Yes.
Marion,
Yes.
Mattapoisett,
yes,
Middleborough,
Abstain.
New Bedford,
Yes.
North Attleboro, Norton,
Yes.
Plainville,
Yes.
Seekonk,
Abstain, not present.
Westport,
Yes.
at large for Attleboro,
Yes.
at large commissioner for Fall River.
Yes.
Thank you. At large commissioner New Bedford, Ashley Eaton.
Yes.
At large, for Wareham, Alan Slavy.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. If I may just take a step back, I didn't hear anyone make a motion. I realize we took the vote, but did anyone make a motion to accept the minutes, to approve them?
Motion to accept the minutes.
Second.
Thank you very much.
Second, Norm.
Who seconded the minutes, please?
Norm. At this time, I am going to ask, does anyone have any public comments? This is an opportunity for the public to address the Joint Transportation Trade Planning Group. So does anyone have any public comments? None? Going once, going twice? Okay. We are going to move right along to the Regional Transit Authority report. I'm going to ask for the representative to please provide an update.
So Gloria, I believe we have GATRA on the line. Yep, Mary Ellen.
Okay. Mary Ellen Frias, GATRA, we are very happy to see continued growth in our ridership, which is an exciting thing for us. Our experiment with expanding some of our night service has worked out well, and so we're going to continue to look at where we can add on an hour here and an hour there based on our ability to have drivers. Due to the popularity of the South Coast Rail Station in Taunton, we will be adding that as a permanent stop on the Route 8 starting June 1st. So we will be servicing that station every time the Route 8 goes by. And the final thing is we are under construction now for our new Wareham facility. So you will see lots of things happening on the site over the next couple of months. And that's the report from GATRA.
Thank you. Do we have any other Regional Transit Authority report?
Dan Aguiar has a question.
Thank you. So I do have a question both for GATRA, and I was hoping that SRPEDD might be on as well today. And you touched briefly on it about making it the permanent stop at the Taunton station. At some point in time, can you provide us with a number of users that you are dropping off at the train in the course of a day at whatever stations you service? Just trying to get an idea if people are actually using the multimodal portion of the transportation that we try to provide.
I can double check with my team on how we pull that. I know it's easier for us to track the Middleborough station because that's through Dial-A-Ride, but let
Okay.
me find out if we have the ability. The problem with fixed route is I don't know if we can track who gets off at a stop.
Got it. Okay. Yeah, I think it would be good if everybody knew, is the train working? 1, 2, are people getting there by other modes of transportation other than driving? So it would be good to know. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anyone else? Okay, we are going to move to item number 5 on our agenda, Community of Practice discussion. This is an opportunity for members to share their questions project updates, challenges, success stories, lessons learned. Anyone? Let me kind of move the conversation along. I know that there has been a few challenges that have been reported, even by Representative Carol Fiola with regards to the transportation to some of the new commuter rail locations, but apparently there's been some breakdowns or understaffing. Has anyone heard of any concerns from their residents, from their constituents?
Gloria, this is Dan Ack. Yeah, so again, being in the same community, yes, we have heard the same things that you just brought up. And I will mention that we have a meeting with MBTA at Morton Middle School. It's coming up. It's either the 19th or the 22nd. I forgot which day it's on the schedule, but it is upcoming. I know we first have one coming up about noise complaints with the trains and how they run during the evening when they're actually even parked at the depot but idling. But then we do have a meeting with the MBTA regarding this issue, and that's coming up, and that will be a public meeting at Morton Middle School, but I'm not sure of the date.
It's May 22nd.
There you go. I was close. I knew it was one of those two.
Mhm.
Great, thank you.
Okay. So has Taunton experienced any challenges, or has it just been New Bedford and Fall River?
I would say that the impact is felt more in New Bedford and Fall River. The benefit that we have in Taunton is all the trains come through Taunton and then they split there. So even if you cancel half the trains, we still have half the trains, so we have hourly service instead of half-hour service. So it's really the two spurs that are feeling it more than we are here in Taunton.
Okay, thank you for that. Anyone else with any project updates? Any success stories? Lessons learned?
We have a couple.
Hi. No, Leanne Bradley. As far as the train goes, I haven't received any complaints, but I did just send a text to our town manager asking him if through his office. But I have heard of complaints, and personally living in town, yes, the horns and the train noise is probably 75% more than it was before the train was online. But I will chime in again if I hear back from the town manager.
Okay, perfect. Anyone else?
Freetown has their hand up.
Freetown.
Yes, hi. We are also experiencing, sorry, I just turned the camera on for the first time. We are also experiencing noise in Freetown. There are 11 crossings in the community, and many of the residents in and around the rail have complained of noise as well.
Okay, thank you for that. Thank you very much for sharing.
Gloria, if I could add that we have heard that there's been disruption in service, and because of that, they are extending free service on the weekends through the end of May.
Okay, through the end of May. Okay.
And just to add to that as well, Gloria, this is Dan Brogan, public transit specialist with SRPEDD. So part of the staffing shortages is from one of the operators for the commuter rail service. So that's through Keolis. So Keolis actually staffs the people that are working on the train. So it's actually not like MBTA that is doing the staffing for this. So I know right now the MBTA general manager Phil Lang has been talking to Keolis to address these staffing issues, and to my understanding, by June, the staffing shortages should be resolved for the New Bedford and Fall River branches. But that's where I understand things are at right now.
Okay, that's good to know. Thank you. Anyone else? Nothing? Yes,
So we and I had gone to the Fairhaven Council on Aging a few weeks back, and an issue that, is needing to be worked out at this moment is for older adults getting their discount pass. There seems to be some confusion about the best way to do that and the best contact, so we're working with our partners at SRTA to get more information on that, so we can pass it on to folks.
Okay, that's good to know. That is very good to know because I had someone reach out to me. In fact, they were really fearful that, number one, there was no signage. I was informed at the Fall River parking location on whether the machines were up and running, how to pay for the parking, and the person called me while they were on the commuter train, excuse me, because they were fearful they were going to be ticketed. They said, I took a picture, I couldn't do this, I couldn't do that. And I says, okay, we'll deal with that if you receive a ticket. But at some point, there was something online the person was able to locate that said that the parking fees would not take effect until maybe June. But there was also concern that a ticket could not be easily purchased online. They were trying to download an app or something. I had the app on my phone pre-startup of the train service, but there's a lot of confusion. Maybe some signage needs to be created, or even a human that can direct people and instruct them on the process, the procedures. Because it can be very terrifying for people who are not accustomed to taking a train. I'm from Boston, so trains breaking down, buses commuting, that's something I'm accustomed to. But we have a whole population of people out here in Fall River and even New Bedford that are just not accustomed to these matters. So I think there needs to be some level of clarity or a human interacting at the train station until people can become familiar, acclimated to taking the commuter rail.
We can bring these concerns to that community meeting too, or share all of this information with them to see if they can help resolve some of these issues.
Perfect. All right, does anyone have anything else? Any more questions? We are going to move on to the Mass CEC Vehicle to Everything program presentation. And this is going to be presented by Katie Pearson, who is the project manager and strategic lead for the Mobility House.
Hi, everyone. Yep, that's me. I know my name is a bit of a mouthful with strategy and implementation, all of that. I have some slides, so let me see if I can bring those up and present. But it's good to talk to you all. I'll give you kind of an update on who the Mobility House is as well, in case anyone is not familiar. So let me see. Okay, I'll share this desktop. All right, and you guys should be seeing it. Okay, cool. Thank you, Daniel. So my name is Katie, and that really long title about strategy and projects and everything was really to summarize. I'm focusing on the Mass CEC project that I'll talk about today. The Mobility House is one of many project partners that are working together on that project, and it's just kicking off now. So that's like the bulk of what I do with the Mobility House. But the Mobility House, just in general, we call ourselves a startup because we're just kind of launching our business in the US for the past 5 years, but we've been around for about 15, 16 years. Our main headquarters are in Germany, so we have this large presence in the European market. And what we do is we work with electric vehicles. So we provide services for both residents who own vehicles, electric vehicles, and fleets who own electric vehicles, using what's called Charge Pilot, which is our software system. So we connect with the vehicles, we create, charging schedules with them, and we provide a dashboard so that fleets can see where their vehicles are at any given moment, how they're charging, whether or not they are going to be able to install new chargers for their sites. We offer different services that let you kind of control the charge at your site so that you can install more chargers, but just don't suck as much power out of them, so that you don't have to upgrade the fleet site every day, or not every day, but when you want to install more chargers. And we also do work with stationary storage. I'm focused more on like this kind of bottom right piece, which is V2G. We'll get into that, but basically thinking about a vehicle or an electric vehicle as like a battery on wheels. So using that kind of source of power as much as possible to both provide extra electric resiliency or to make money in some cases. So let's go back and just talk about what Mass CEC was trying to do with this project, because I really want to make sure that everyone's clear about the project goals today, because I think it's a good opportunity for fleets in your area, for residents in your area, or if you drive a fleet, please consider this opportunity. But Mass CEC in general, and I know there are some Mass CEC representation on the call, they have a couple of different pillars working to bring, clean energy solutions to the state of Massachusetts. This project is focused on their clean transportation pillar. And even within that pillar, they have several different opportunities. Some of you guys might have already participated in these funding opportunities. There's this great on-street, public charging grant that I think a couple of municipalities that I've talked to have taken advantage of, which is great. This one, though, is called the vehicle to everything demonstrations. So it's V2X. It's again using that idea of an electric vehicle as a battery on wheels to discharge power from the EV, either use it as another energy source for your facility, or you can, put it back on the grid and earn money from those electrons. So just to get into the meat a little bit more with the program, and by the way, if anyone has any questions, feel free to unmute and interrupt me, but I'll also save time at the end. So this was a huge grant. It was like $6.3 million that they released last year in Q4 of 2024. And they were hoping to be able to provide these bidirectional chargers across the state of Massachusetts. Mass CEC was really kind of broad and just said, hey, anyone who has ideas for how we can understand more about this technology and the benefits that it can provide, please apply. So this project team, there's a lot of logos here on the right, applied with the idea that we would provide these bidirectional chargers to residents of Massachusetts, commercial municipal fleets in Massachusetts, and then school bus fleets as well. And we were selected because of the broad impact that this would have across all three of those cohorts. So the Mobility House, which is what I work for, they are the technology vendor for the project. So we are in charge of finding all of those charger providers and then providing or sending them to the selected applicants, and then making sure that we can discharge from the EVs when they're plugged in, as long as the fleet needs are met. I think the really important thing to be aware of with this program is we do not want to disrupt any normal operations, whether you're a homeowner coming home from work and plugging in your EV, or if you're an EV operator, just wanting to make sure that you're going to be able to do your deliveries at the end of the day. The Mobility House software is what does the calculations and kind of back-end computing to make sure that if you choose to discharge your EV and make some of that revenue, that you can still leave for your normal operations at the end of the day. B2Q and Voltrek, these are local Massachusetts-based installers. They have a lot of experience installing EV chargers, And then Converge Strategies is working on a report for the end of the program that will publish our learnings, recommendations for the industry. And then Resource Innovations is the administrator for the program. So they've created the application, they've created a bunch of different customer facing materials like this presentation. So we love them for leading us in that. And then last thing on this slide is the timeline. So what I want everyone to know here, and why I'm kind of speaking today, is right now we're accepting applications. So if you know of a fleet, or if you have residents in your community that would be interested in receiving, a free charger, I'll go over the chargers in a minute. We have applications that are that will accept applicants until the end of July. So we're doing kind of a short selection period because we want to install all of those chargers by the end of this year. That might be pretty aggressive, but we're hoping that we get it done because next year for calendar 2026, we want to discharge, charge, collect data on those devices and really fuel that. We're calling it a V2X guidebook that Converge Strategies is creating. And they'll publish that at the end of the year, next year. And then the program ends. So we will stop collecting data. You'll still get to keep any of these chargers. The mobility house can still manage the charging if you want to. You don't have to, but there's like 5 years of subscription that's included in this grant. So we can make sure that your fleets are still operating well if you think that we did a good job during the 2026 year. Just to take a pause and I won't read off the whole slide, but V2X, like vehicle to everything, where we're using the electrons to both charge up the car, but then also discharge, is a really new thing. You might have heard of like the Tesla Powerwall. The GM, General Motors, has a unit that can power your home during a blackout. Ford also has a similar charging system. So this program is trying to use charging systems like those to be able to provide benefits to the grid. So you can power your home or your facility if there's a blackout using those batteries on wheels. Or you can power your home in this kind of second use case where you're still connected to the grid, there's no power outage, but maybe you have really high electrical loads that you want to offset during the day. Or maybe you want to participate in a program that Eversource and National Grid or Unitil or one of the MLPs is providing, and they can compensate you for participating, for kind of giving them some free electrons. So that's kind of what this is trying to study. I include this slide in case there's anybody not familiar with V2X. I only just learned about it in the past 3 years, so I know it's very new to folks outside of the industry and in the industry. And this just kind of talks about all those use cases. So up here, it's using this for as like a resiliency hub during blackout situations, and then down here is using it to reduce strain on the grid for either your electricity bill mitigation or to be able to provide added resiliency to the grid, since I know blackouts are no fun. I think this slide is the one that everyone's interested. What equipment are you gonna give me if I am selected to be a part of this project? I don't know if I included it in a prior slide, but with that $6.3 million, we can provide about 100 of these chargers. Rough split is going to be 60 in the residential cohort, 20 for the commercial fleet cohort, and then 20 chargers to schools. That can mean that 2 schools get 10 chargers each, or it could mean that we pick 20 different fleets and we give them 1 charger each. We're really basing our selection on the value of the use case. So if they live or if their facility is located in an area where the grid is prone to outages, then having this equipment would help, that local grid, or at least that facility or home, stay powered while there's a grid outage. We're trying to focus on, Western Massachusetts. There have been a lot of Boston area applications, which makes a lot of sense. And then making sure that we focus on like gateway cities and environmental justice communities as well. So in terms of the equipment, this list on the top is all of the chargers that qualify for the program. But I think this green box shows how well a fleet or a resident will meet the criteria for the application, because a lot of these chargers will only work with the vehicles listed here. And I do want to note that we're adding new EVs almost every week at this point, because automakers are making announcements. Some of these charging companies are passing compatibility tests and are able to say, oh, yep, Kia EV9, that one works with our charger, please add it to the list. So there will be more coming, so just be aware of that. This isn't necessarily the exclusive list. But yeah, basically, if you have a school bus that's pretty new, most of them are bidirectionally capable. And we can check on our end if you submit an application to verify that it has bidirectional capability. And then if you're, any sort of resident that's interested in this, and if you own one of these vehicle models, then you'd also qualify for one of these chargers. A lot of people ask about if the commercial chargers are like similar to what you would see for a DC fast charger. The answer is yes. TELUS and InCharge provide chargers that can go up to 66 or 60 kilowatts. That's like the 30-minute charging times. And then Heliox also offers a pretty competitive 44 kilowatt. I can run through a couple of these slides because I think I'm nearing the end of my time limit. Just to give you, to make you aware, for the application, you do need to provide a few documents. So we're asking for the proof that you'll have the EV in hand, like through the end of next year, because the last thing we want to do is provide funding for install and hardware for these chargers and then realize that there's not an EV that we can learn anything from. We do ask for utility bills so that we can see like typical power usage and then compare that to how the home or facility used power next year when hopefully we're offsetting that bill using V2G. And then pictures of the panel board or the site where the car will be parked is really helpful for us to estimate how much the install is going to cost. And this last slide just kind of talks about the different programs that are available where we could demonstrate the value that V2G can provide. Connected Solutions is really quite lucrative. They pay $275 per kilowatt to residents and then $200 per kilowatt for commercial fleets that participate. So there are a couple of really cool use cases where schools have earned like $3,000 for participating in a year. And residents have earned like $1,500 or something like that. So it really just depends if you're plugged in and able to discharge at a pretty consistent rate during the events. And there's about like 30 to 60 events in the summer. So I'm happy to talk more about that program if anybody's interested. And then this last one just says, please apply. We're accepting applications of all complexities. So if you're worried that your site has like a weird layout, or if you're not sure if you qualify, feel free to submit an application, or you can send an email either to me or to the project team's email account, and we can answer your questions. And I can provide both of those after this call. So any questions?
I have 3 questions.
Go ahead.
My first question is, car dealerships are now offering individuals who are purchasing these electric vehicles, because that's what I've been looking at lately. And just about every dealer has offered me an opportunity for a free install, but only of the slow charger. Is your organization a part of this installation of slow chargers for new EV vehicle purchase?
So I know the Mobility House is not. I'm wondering if that's a utility program. There are like make-ready programs where the utility will fund um, uh, like wires like up to the install, and then the owner just has to provide the charger and like complete the end install. So it's quite a lot of money. But I thought that you had to apply for that funding. So I'm not sure if there's like a Mass CEC rep on the call or anyone who can speak to that if it is like a Mass CEC program. But no, I think that's separate to this. Great opportunity though.
Okay. And my second question, does your organization accept applicants of municipalities who are looking to install on city streets? Because I'm in Boston very often, but I don't notice that at all out here in Fall River. And I just took a picture over the weekend because I thought this is a great opportunity for the city of Fall River, especially the area that I'm working on revitalizing, which is called the Flint, to get on board with this. Do we qualify as a municipality to apply for an install?
That's a good question. Sorry, I'm gonna try to see if I can go back. So I wouldn't recommend on-street install of these V2G chargers because if anyone drives up, we can make sure that they charge and they don't discharge. Like we can make sure that only designated vehicles are the ones that are like discharging so that we don't, discharge Gloria's car and she comes back and it's zero. But I don't recommend it for being installed on a street because I'm not sure if we can put in the payment method. Like, you know how you drive up to like a gas station, you gotta pay. The same thing happens with public chargers, and I don't know if they provide that for these V2G chargers because I don't think they're expecting them for public use. They're expecting them for like a fleet to have their own depot and it be a closed system so that no one drives up and is surprised to see their EV discharging. But I do think, check out this on-street charging solutions program. I don't work for Mass CEC, so I can't speak too much to it, but this feels very pointed towards municipalities that are interested in receiving like curbside charging. So this would be on the Mass CEC website. I recommend you checking that out.
Okay. And my last question is, how are you spreading the word on this? Because I was up until now unfamiliar.
Thanks for asking that question. It's very grassroots. So definitely, presenting at forums like the MAPC and the SRPEDD, and then any municipalities that are interested have been emailing us and creating meetings with my team. We released a press release in the news in February when this was first kind of launched. But we are doing like some other campaigns in the next couple of weeks just on like LinkedIn or Facebook, like those kind of social medias. But the other thing that we're seeing is if the utilities can provide any sort of blurb in their newsletters, like the Green Cities Coalition or the Clean Cities Coalition provided a blurb in their like regular newsletter from this month, which was great to see. So we got a couple more applicants from that. So any suggestions we would take. Like we're trying to make sure that we do get this word out, especially to the folks in rural communities or, areas outside of Boston, which is like a big, EV centric hub. And there's a lot of, technical knowledge that's passed around. There's a lot of different avenues to receive that kind of information, but we want to make sure this is equitable, right? So any suggestions that you have of organizations that we should reach out to, to share, that description and at least get the website out there, that would be helpful.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else have questions? No questions for Katie?
Well, thank you.
I do, I'm
Oh.
sorry, is there any way we can get a copy of this presentation?
Absolutely, Tim. Yeah.
All right, that'd be great, thank you.
Yep.
Anyone else? Okay, we are going to move to agenda item number 7. Complete Streets Program presentation, and this is going to be by Rebecca Rose, and she is with SRPEDD. Rebecca.
Good afternoon, everybody. Let me just share my screen. All right, can everybody see that okay? Right, so I'm hoping that this presentation will clear up questions that people have about the Complete Streets program. I know that it can be a little confusing. Learning it myself, it's been a little confusing. So let's jump into this. All right. So most of our communities already have policies in place and have developed prioritization plans. For communities that have not, the first step in accessing funding is to attend training and develop a policy. There are free training workshops available through the UMass Training Center website, and a policy score sheet is available in Appendix D of the MassDOT funding program guidance document. Tiers must be completed in order, with the exception of submitting a letter of intent. This allows municipalities to apply for funding and begin development of their prioritization plan while also working on passing their policy. Policies must be passed within 1 year of submitting the letter of intent. The next step is to develop a prioritization plan. In funding, $38,000 in funding is available for the initial development of a plan. Communities may update their prioritization plans every 3 years. However, there is no designated funding for updates. If you reach out, SRPEDD may be able to help with minor plan updates. The last step is to submit a funding application for a project from your prioritization plan. Funding is available every 4 years, up to $500,000. Funding can be used all at once or across multiple years. For example, a community could use $200,000 for a project in 2025, and the remaining $300,000 for another project in 2028. There are 2 rounds of project funding awarded each year. Tier 1 policies can be submitted at any time with an anticipated reply within 3 weeks. Tier 2 prioritization plans can be submitted on or before April 1st and September 1st with an anticipated turnaround time of 4 weeks. Tier 3 project applications can be submitted on or before May 1st and October 1st with an anticipated approval in about 3 months. Communities should receive their notice to proceed approximately 2 months after receiving their award notifications. The next 2 slides highlight options for potential projects. There are many ways to use funding from this program, and there are multiple options for incorporating different complete streets aspects into a project design. The first one is intersection redesign. This includes roundabouts, mini traffic circles, intersection reconstruction, and curve extensions at pedestrian crossings. The next is street reconfiguration and traffic calming. This includes road diets or lane elimination and lane narrowing to add exclusive bike space. There's also pedestrian crossing modifications, which includes pedestrian activated warning devices, pedestrian signal upgrades, crossing islands for larger intersections, and raised intersections or crosswalks. Next is network connections. This includes pedestrians and bikes. We have shared use paths or separated bike lanes, on-road bike lanes, and bike boulevards. Next is for transit investments. This includes bike parking, bus lanes, bus pullouts, and transit signal priority. And last, we have environmental and streetscape investments, which includes street lighting, wayfinding signage, stormwater management, and street trees. So this is a list of limitations for projects. Examples of projects that cannot use funding include but are not limited to roadways where bikes and pedestrians are not allowed, maintenance projects or emergency repairs. Items like drainage, guardrails, and landscaping can be incorporated into a project, but cannot be the only element in the project. Signage only and vertical construction projects cannot use this funding, with the exception of wayfinding signage and bike parking and bus shelters. These are 3 communities within our region that were awarded funding for projects in fiscal year 2025. We had North Attleboro receive $500,000 for construction of a new 5-foot wide sidewalk on both sides of Landry Ave between Martin Elementary School and Route 152. The project includes narrowed road lanes for bicycle safety, ADA compliant curb ramps, tactical warning panels, high visibility crosswalks, and rapid flashing beacons. Wareham was also received $500,000 for multiple projects. Project 1 is construction of new ADA compliant ramps and detectable warning panels at various locations on Main Street from Trinity Christian Church to Sandwich Road, and on Onset Avenue from Union Ave South Boulevard to East Boulevard. Project 2 includes modifying curbs and the addition of rapid flashing beacons. Project 3 will create the Walters Alley pedestrian zone between Main Street and Merchant Way. And Project 4 is the placement of speed feedback signs at various locations. Mansfield received about $368,000 to reconstruct the sidewalk on the northern side of East Street from North Main Street to Hope Street. If your community is looking for new project ideas, you can view all the projects that have received awards by going to the Grant Central portal, clicking on the Complete Streets icon, and scrolling to the bottom of the page to view the awarded project narratives. And then I would just like to invite communities to share Complete Streets projects that are in progress or completed for us to showcase on our SRPEDD website. So thank you for listening. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Anyone? Questions for Rebecca?
We're going to get this presentation also.
Yeah, I can share it.
Rebecca, are there any limitations on the width when installing those bicycle lanes where there was an island, some type of island? There were lane restrictions, width restrictions.
For the bike lanes or for the pedestrian islands?
For the bike lanes.
I'm not sure. Jackie, do you know if there are lane restrictions or like width restrictions for bike lanes?
So they can be no less than 5 feet wide. So there's a minimum of how wide they can be. But it really depends on the context. So a lot of what Complete Streets looks at is context sensitive solutions. What might make more sense per location is you really have to be in that spot to figure that out. But yeah, 5 feet is the minimum for a bike lane.
Okay, thank you for that. Anyone else have questions for Rebecca? Rebecca, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Next, we are going to move on with looking at the draft fiscal years 2026 through 2030 transportation improvements. I'm going to hand this over to Jackie Jones with SRPEDD. Jackie.
Thank you, Gloria. So our draft tip was presented to this body last month.
Since then, it went to the SMMPO. The SMMPO voted to release it for a 21-day public comment period. During that public comment period, we received comments from MassDOT, more minor adjustments to make sure that we were including everything we were supposed to. And so we will make those changes. We held a public meeting at which no comments were received. And then we do have a situation where we have 2 earmarks programmed in fiscal year 2026 that have gone up in price. They are programmed with statewide funding, but we are not sure where the remaining funds for those are going to be picked up. That's more of a for your information. We expect to have that resolved by the end of the week. But other than that, there are no major changes from when it was presented and released. So we are asking today that you vote to recommend it to send to the SMMPO for endorsement. And I'm happy to answer any questions that anyone might have.
Any questions?
I'll make a motion, Fall River, to recommend to the SMMPO.
Seconded.
Thank you, Dan and Ashley.
Just have a roll call. Agenda item. So Adam,
I don't know if they can hear you. Attleboro,
Yes.
Carver,
Yes.
Dartmouth,
Yes.
Dayton, yes.
River,
Yes.
Freetown,
Yes.
Lakeville, Mansfield,
Yes.
Marion,
Yes.
Mattapoisett,
Yes.
Middleborough,
Yes.
New Bedford,
Yes.
Norton,
Yes.
Plainville,
Yes.
Seacon,
Yes.
Taunton, Taunton still here? Kathy? She was here earlier. Westport,
Yes.
Attleboro at large. Fall River at large, Commissioner.
Yes.
New Bedford at large, Commissioner.
yes.
Alan, yes.
Thank you. The motion passes unanimously.
Thank you. Next, we are going to take a look at the draft for the fiscal year 2026 for Unified Planning Work Program. This is going to be presented by Lisa Estrella Pedro.
Thanks, Gloria. So I'm going to give you the quick cliff notes on the Unified Planning Work Program, and we will share the link with you so you can go check out the full document. For those that, attend regularly, this is going to be a revamp of last year's with some new interesting projects. For those that are new to this process, the Unified Planning Work Program, it is our SRPEDD Transportation Staff's annual work program. MPOs are required to develop UPWPs to administer work programs for expenditures of federal highway and FTA funding. The UPWP is updated annually, and it includes the scope of work for federal first fiscal year, including timeframes for completing the work and the cost of the work. The 26 will span from October 1st, 2025 to September 30th, 2026. So the guidance that we have in developing this program comes from the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act, also known as BILL, the Bipartisan Infrastructure Law. as well as Fixing America's Surface Transportation planning factors, and there were 10 of those. So in our work and developing our studies, we incorporate and support these planning factors. I won't go into these individually, but they are documented in the Unified Planning Work Program, and we explain all of the work that we do and how we're supporting these. So for federal fiscal year 26, we're looking at approximately $1.9 million. I will go into the tasks and the areas in future slides. But here you can see for each task, support of the 3C process, we've budgeted approximately $275,000. On the other end here for safety and security, we've budgeted approximately $205,000, and we'll go into further details. So element 1 is management and support of the planning process. So we have several tasks under this. We have a 3C task, which allows us to provide support to the communities, public participation in Title VI, assists us with doing updates to our website, social media platforms, updating our Title VI program. Under 3C, we also review MEPA documents and comment on those. Under our Unified Planning Work Program, we develop our document yearly, as well as under our TIP task, we develop the TIP. Our next one will be spanning 27 to 31. Element 2, this is where we do our data collection, modeling, and analysis activities. Our tasks are data management, GIS and modeling. We do our traffic count program, pavement management, performance measures, and community technical assistance. I think the most popular community technical assistance program where communities can request smaller studies, and we provide each one with a report at the end of that. Element 3, so this is really, our meat and potatoes. Our transportation planning activities and studies. Our tasks include integrated management systems, safety and security, active transportation, mobility management and transit planning, and environmental planning. So some of the projects that we'll be working on in the upcoming year, we're going to be doing a corridor study along Pleasant Street in Fall River. We are finishing up, this will be year 2 of our food access and security and transportation plan. We're going to be doing an update to our congestion management plan. Our parking lot utilization plan, this will be year 2 as well, so we'll be finalizing a report on that. Coming out of our evacuation plan, we are going to be offering 2 communities tabletop exercise. 2 communities, right, Jackie? Well, 3 communities. With the opportunity to assist, and also at the end of that, we'll be providing the community with the report and recommendations. Also, we are going to be conducting a fare-free economic impact analysis for SRTA. This will be year 1 where we'll look at existing conditions. And then on the environmental side, going to be looking at developing a database to prioritize flood-prone roadways and culvert locations. Quick timeline, the draft document hopefully will be released for a minimum 21-day comment period at the SMNPO meeting, which will take place next Tuesday, May 20th. It is available for download through the SRPEDD website. We'll be looking to host a public meeting between the release of the document and the anticipated endorsement on June 17th. Happy to answer any questions at this time. We are asking that this body take a vote to recommend to the MPO that the document be released to a 21-day comment period.
Anyone want to make a motion?
Motion
make a
made,
motion.
Fall River.
Seconded, Dartmouth.
Thank you, Dan. Thank you, Tim. Roll call.
Paul, Attleboro,
Yes.
Harvard,
Yes.
Dartmouth,
Yes.
Yes.
Fall River,
Yes.
Freetown, Mansfield,
Yes.
Marion,
Yes.
Mattapoisett,
Yes.
Middleborough, left.
Middleborough had to leave.
New Bedford,
Yes.
North Attleboro, Norton,
Norton, yes.
Plainville,
Yes.
Seekonk,
Yes.
Taunton. Kathy's still here, but was having problems with her mic. So Westport,
Yes.
Attleboro at large. Fall River at large,
Yes.
New Bedford at large. Commissioner,
Yes.
and Wareham at large, Commissioner.
Yes.
My
Thank-
apologies. Freetown, yes, as well.
Thank you, Nancy.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you.
And item number 10 on the agenda, we have the SMMPO Regional Safety Action Plan presentation and discussion with Jackie Jones. Jackie, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Gloria. I'm gonna go through these slides very quickly, in the interest of time. So, long story short, we received a grant to do an action plan for the region for safety. This action plan will qualify communities in the region to apply for implementation and demonstration grant funding through the SS4A grant program, which is open right now and closes June 26th. We accelerated the timeline for this study to coincide with that deadline so that we could make this available to communities earlier. So that's why we're bringing it to you now ahead of schedule. It's in draft form. It can be viewed. We will send out a link after this meeting so that people can go and look at it. It's a toolkit. So in the toolkit, it identifies specific countermeasures that will address problems that were identified in the region using a high risk and high injury network analysis. All of the locations were identified through a data-driven process that was very intensive. We hired a consulting team of Tool and VHB to help us develop that. I'm gonna go like 3 slides in. One more. So there's engineering countermeasures, pedestrian treatments, intersection treatments, all of those things are outlined in there. But then on the location identification level, one more back, 2 back, sorry. I'm rushing through, but we identified projects on the regional scale, so there's regional priorities, but we wanted to make sure that every community had a bite of the apple, so we also did a municipal level assessment. So every community has a network of roads in their community that are eligible for this funding. Those locations were sent out to each community last week to aid in any sort of application efforts. There's guidance in there about what we think each road needs based on what the crash issues are. There's roads, there's intersections. Our consultant has developed a tool that will help communities view these. It's not available yet, but it should be by the end of the week. Want to go to the next slide, Lisa? Here again, high risk network, high injury network. We used the data from the process to prioritize the projects too, so each community has a level prioritization, but again, if it's identified as a project in here, it's eligible for funding regardless of the project prioritization. Next slide. So the next steps are, we finalize this regional safety action plan draft. It's going to be hopefully released to the public through the MPO next week for review. We are very much looking for feedback on it. We want it to be useful for the communities. We are going to coordinate with the municipalities directly to make sure that they have the information and that they are comfortable with what's in there. We're going to incorporate the feedback and present it to the MPO for endorsement on June 17th, 2025. And then we will finalize it for the NOFO deadline on June 26th. And what we're really hoping for is a useful tool. We really hope that you go and check it out, and let us know how you feel about it. We did also have a task force that helped us to develop it, and we're really appreciative of that task force. And I just wanna, thank our consultant as well as many staff members worked very hard to get it across the finish line for this. So I just wanted to make sure that I say that today. And again, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Any questions? No questions for Jackie? Okay.
I just want to say thank you to Jackie and the team for pulling this off. No, it was yeoman's work. Thank you.
Thank you, Nancy.
Anyone else? All right, we are going to move right along. Item number 10. On my agenda, it still says number 10. This is other business, and Lisa.
Thank you, Gloria. So just a couple of announcements. JTPG appointment forms for the June 1st through May 30th, 2026 term are due tomorrow. We have about half of those that have come back to us. So if you have a delay, if you need to go to one of your town meetings or anything like that, just reach out to us and let us know so that we're aware of that. In the meantime, if you could get those to us, we'd appreciate it. We also have 2 seats on the SMNPO board that are set to expire. So those are generally for select board members. So if you are aware of any in your community that may have interest on sitting on the SMNPO board, self-nominations are due back June 16th. They were distributed to all communities, but we're just announcing this as a reminder. Also, Mass DOT is seeking interested candidates in serving as public members on the Massachusetts Bicycle and Pedestrian Advisory Board. If anyone is interested, we will get out all of that information right after this meeting, maybe tomorrow. We'll get out all this information, including the presentations to all of the members. So please share specifically with anyone that you think may be interested. Also, please go check out the Bay State Roads upcoming workshops. We looked at the list. There are a bunch of interesting workshops coming up, including culvert assessments, pavement management. Go take a look, great resource. Before we move on to date and time and place for the next meeting, we just wanted to put out there that we are considering holding an on-site meeting across the region, looking to showcase maybe one of our recent projects. So if any community would like to volunteer for that, we are open to suggestions. We will wait to hear back before we finalize, the next agenda. And I would just say be on the lookout in case we change that from the SRPEDD location office to hybrid to an all-in-person meeting at a specific location. And that's all I have, Gloria.
Thank you very much, Lisa. So the date and time for our next meeting is going to be June 11th at 2 p.m. It will be a hybrid format. That is going to be June 11th at 2 o'clock, a hybrid format. And if no one has any more questions, meeting adjourned at 3:09 p.m. Thank you, everyone, for attending.
Do we need to,
Thank you.
do we need a vote to end?
I'm sorry.
Do we need a motion? Do we need a motion?
Yes,
I motion to end the meeting.
Attleboro seconds.
thank you.
Who was a second?
Yes,
Attleboro.
Bro, thank you. Thank you, everyone. We appreciate your time. Thank you, Gloria, for
yes.
Thank you.